nationwide, Gingrich has finally caught Romney, and it is 29-28. Now, Romney's at 29, but that's basically a statistical tie. So I tell you that so you have the proper context for last night's debate. So since Newt Gingrich now has the lead in Florida, he's playing more defense, not attacking as much. And Mitt Romney, all of a sudden, on a massive offensive surge, he's going after Newt Gingrich in 18 different ways, which we are going to show you. First, clip 7.
Well, I think this is going to come down to a question of leadership. I think as you choose the President of the United States, you're looking for a person who can lead this country in a very critical time, lead the free world, and the free world has to lead the entire world. I think it's about leadership, and the Speaker was given an opportunity to be the leader of our party in 1994, and at the end of 4 years, he had to resign in disgrace. In the 15 years after he left the speakership, the Speaker has been working as an influence peddler in Washington.
Damn, influence peddler, not the kind of leadership we want. Now it's getting fun, because it's one thing when Mitt Romney's super PACs attack, which they do all the time. It's another thing when he does it to his face. That's even more fun. All right, here comes Newt.
Well, look, I'm not going to spend the evening trying to chase Governor Romney's misinformation. We'll have a site at newt.org by tomorrow morning. We'll list everything. He just said at least 4 things that are false. I don't want to waste the time on them. I think the American public deserve a discussion about how to beat Barack Obama. The American public deserves a discussion about what we would do about the economy. And I just think this is the worst kind of trivial politics. I mean, he said at least 4 things were false.
Yeah, it's trivial politics if you're attacking Newt Gingrich. If you were attacking Mitt Romney, as Newt Gingrich did and tore him down in South Carolina, well, that's just the American people need to know who's going to be better against Obama. By the way, newt.org sounds like a German porn site where you're going to see very unfortunate things. Now, here comes Romney, clip 9.
I learned something from that last contest in South Carolina, and that was I had incoming from all directions, was overwhelmed with a lot of the attacks, and I'm not going to sit back and get attacked day in and day out without returning fire. I would like not to have the kind of attacks that came against me. There were 2 ads run by Speaker Gingrich. Outside fact-checking groups said these ads were false, and yet they continue to run them.
He started it. He did the negative attack ads first. He was false first. You see that, Daddy? God, this is fun. All right, now we go to clip 12. Here comes Gingrich.
I think it's pretty clear to say that I have never, ever gone and done any lobbying. In fact, we brought in an expert on lobbying law and trained all of our staff, and that expert is prepared to testify that he was brought in to say, here is how the bright line between what you can do as a citizen and what you do as a lobbyist. And we consistently, for 12 years, running 4 small businesses, stayed away from lobbying precisely because I thought this kind of defamatory and factually false charge would be made.
Oh, we just got a score on the board. Before they're sniping at one another, but there Newt made 2 mistakes. Now, before that answer, what we cut out was Newt pausing for a long time. He pulled a bit of a Sandusky there, like, am I a lobbyist? Do I like to take money from Washington interests? And I was like, dude, get to the answer. That was weird that Newt paused, right? And number 2, did you just hear what he just said? He's like, we hired a guy to tell us how to skate the law so that while being lobbyists, we weren't technically lobbyists. Now, look, if you're going to be a grocer or a plumber, do you need to hire a guy to tell you how not to be a lobbyist? No, you just go on about your plumbing, right? No, he was going to be a lobbyist. That's why he hired a guy to say, how could we technically not call it lobbyist? I think that's a huge admission of guilt, and I think he looked really bad there. So Romney is going to continue to pounce. Clip number 13.
Well, Mr. Speaker, you were on this stage at a prior debate. You said you were paid $300,000 by Freddie Mac as an historian. They don't pay people $25,000 a month for 6 years as historians. That adds up to about $1.6 million. They weren't hiring you as an historian, and this contract proves that you were not an historian. You were a consultant. It doesn't say that you provided historical experience. It said that you were as a consultant, and you were hired by the chief lobbyist of Freddie Mac, not the CEO, not the head of public affairs, by the chief lobbyist of Freddie Mac.
You suplex! No, that about ends it right there. Newt's trying to get up from the 2 count. Oh, no, 3 count. He's out. Romney wins the debate. Look, first of all, I love this sour look on Newt's face. He looked like something happened to him at newt.org. Like, oh, unfortunate, right? Second of all, he's right. Historian? What are we talking about? Historian? Historian? That's ridiculous. And Romney effectively called him out. And my favorite part was their chief lobbyist hired you. What, to be a historian and give you $25,000 a month? Nobody's buying that, Newt. Get. So I think Newt's in a little bit of trouble. My prediction is in the next debate, which will happen in approximately 30 seconds, because they're doing it every 30 seconds or so now, Newt will go back on the offense. Him playing defense is not where his natural role is, and he didn't do a very good job of it. Look, Romney didn't look very likable either as he continued to attack, so probably Santorum and Ron Paul came out the winners of that debate. But as the whole thing continues, you get a sense that these two people are intensely unlikable. And, of course, the overall winner then is President Obama, who is doing well in his favorability versus unfavorability, and likability and unlikability. It's, in fact, 2/3 in Obama's favor right now. Now, of course, they haven't started attacking him yet, but when you look at Newt and Mitt, their unfavorable is 58% and 52% nationwide now. So, and Newt used to lead that category. People used to find him the most unfavorable. Mitt Romney now catching up. They are finally doing some serious damage to one another. And on this note, you don't have to get too cute with the politics to understand what's going on. The White House should be celebrating how much both of these guys are turning off moderates to one another.